good surface can add a few marks, maybe even 5% to your performance by giving the horse confidence and giving a horse a surface they can spring up off. So here we have a lovely young horse to this level, Carlyle, ridden by Nadia Coghlan, originally from Melbourne, but now living in Sydney.
Claimed to be a New South Wales person now.
She's
Saw
got a
the light.
dog.
She's got a great dog.
And this is another young horse with a really promising future. You can see the expression already in this trot, the energy this horse has. This is another horse who's also just taken a little bit of tact to bring him through to become a reliable competition horse in this arena.
There's more to making a horse's front up than just bringing the pole up. It's a whole gymnastic, progressive series of exercises that teaches the horse to stay round in a round frame and bring the weight back over the hind leg without getting the neck too short, and it takes a long time. This guy has lots of expression. He also has at times a very big opinion of himself, and he can certainly do all the things, especially when you'll see him come to do the 1-tempies. He's can really be up off the ground. She had a bit of a horrible time in the trot up. For whatever reason, she competed into 2, and he took a couple of uneven steps in the trot up and had to represent this morning for Nadia, which is a horrible thought when she...
Very anxiety.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Very stressful.
But it's good for the sport, and to know that everyone's doing the very best for their horse, and there was nothing wrong with him at all. He was checked by the vet, and they trot him up this morning, and here he is, as sound as a bell, so that's a really good thing.
In fact, he was rather over-exuberant in this morning's trot up, which gave her a moment's concern, but certainly looks completely
perfect
level
here.
there.
He has that natural knee and elasticity in the steps to encourage a good passage, doesn't he, this horse?
Absolutely. And Nadia's been a very dedicated rider. She took an Australian bred horse off to Germany when she was quite young and stayed there for a long time. Was working with Christy
Oatley Mist.
And what a wonderful experience that must have been.
She came back and brought her horse Campion out of quarantine and came here, and I remember Christy was here, and it was only a few weeks out of quarantine, won national champion.
Absolutely, that was a big thrill for her.
It was, yeah, it was great. Cam's now retired, and she said, Nadia was saying that when she had Cam, she wouldn't pay as much attention as she should be to her young one. So now that Cam's retired, this one gets a lot more attention. He's really starting to come on a bit better. So.
And that's certainly not his best piaffe.
No.
We've seen him do much nicer piaffes than that in the warm-up, and that's part of the tricks, not leaving your best work in the warm-up arena.
Lots of people ask about tail swishing. It's a tricky thing to... It's sometimes of the character of the horse, and sometimes it's aggressive, and sometimes it's just trying too hard, and this horse goes a little bit from one thing to another. Sometimes he says, I am trying hard, don't try and make me try harder. And he does switch his tail around, there's no question about that, but I don't think it's in a particularly bad way at the moment.
No, and you can see this mouth is moist and a bit still in the mouth. And there's certainly no other sign of him resisting.
Could be a little bit more forward, I think. It certainly comes up a long way, doesn't it? Could just have a little more ground cover, perhaps. That was the change I was saying that should be on the diagonal. You aren't going to get the highest marks when you do it coming around the corner like that.
Yep, you have to be thinking quickly.
And it's only one stride.
But reasonably fluent in that really difficult zigzag. And the counting was right.
And we've got the ones, this is where he can really shine. I shouldn't probably say that. Carolyn will be watching and be holding her breath.
And aren't they fluent? Really expressive changes. You can see the preparation into this pirouette, looking for the turns, looking for the hindquarters to be keeping the rhythm of the canter stride, which perhaps he just lost a tiny bit there in the fourth and fifth steps. So you've got to keep the preparation, keep the canter short, but keep some energy in it so that they've got the balance to keep some expression turning around, and perhaps that one was a little bit more successful. Transition perhaps a tiny bit early if you're really being fussy, which the judges will be. But Carlyle certainly looks like he's still got plenty of petrol in the tank.
Zip, yep.
Turning down this centre line. And there's that very difficult PR for X, where they'll think X is where you halt because they've been doing it since they were 4 years old. And then suddenly you want them to PR on that same place.
That was a bit unfortunate, I think, from a judge's perspective, that she walked into the piaffe and she walked out of the piaffe. So when you're looking at a transition is a transition. It should be the continuity from the passage, the piaffe, and the piaffe to the passage. And unfortunately, there's a whole mark for those two transitions out of 10, and she would have lost a few marks there. But still, he's been difficult in the ring a little bit in the last few months, and she got through that test and looked quite confident again.